I think I need to work this out. I'm not sure what they're telling me, and I can't even seem to think it all the way through. I keep stopping, so let's see. They're reminding me of an old vision. I think I put it out in the beginning of July about like a slave girl. She had a curse. She broke a contract, so she got cursed. It wasn't that she got cursed. It's like it was her family line that had broke the contract with God. They disobeyed God's law to love oneself, honor oneself, not get lured away from oneself. And so in doing so, in leaving oneself, well, you left yourself. You no longer have the protection. You're no longer under the umbrella. So it feels like a curse because it's hell. You're left out in hell. You're thrown out. You're tossed out. It sucks. And so that curse had gone down in the family line, because if you're thrown out, you're cursed. You're abandoned. You're dismissed. You chose to. You left you. It was your choice. It was your doing. It was at your own hand. But it had gone on. I think in that example, they showed like 400 years. So that echo had happened for so long in that family line. It's like either they stopped telling the story, they didn't know the story, they didn't know what the fuck happened, they chose not to. I don't know what, but whatever the case was, it was like the end of the 400 years. And yet the girl was then set free because it was her line. Yet it was like she didn't know or did not fully understand because it was 400 years later. So she wasn't privy to the origin. And yet it was in her automatic responses, her automatic thought process. It was her way of living, like it was deeply embedded, ingrained in that bloodline to live in lack and fear, because that was what happened when you leave oneself. And so, oh God, I hate how I end up explaining for my sake too. It's like a recap, but then it's like, well, what were you showing me originally? So you were showing me that. Oh, because then they showed me in today's time. In today's time, this gap we have, this gap of like such extreme wealth to such poverty. And so I think this was part of what I was getting confused with, because I felt like I had so many questions. Because on one hand, they've taught like people have to, one, want the help, but two, they have to do their own work, and they have to, it's like help themselves, but still honoring, do unto others as you want done unto you. Like there's many, it's like such a simple thing, but it can become layered or complex. It's like the thing you have to continue to come back to and remember, and it takes practice and work, but it's so much more challenging from those living in that lack and that fear. But some living in lack are not in fear. We just see it as lack, though they do not, right? It's lack for us because we're comparing, but they wouldn't see it that way, okay? And so there was all of this. And oh God, it's so layered, because it's also, again, if you're going with that story, then back in the day, you would be told, well, then don't engage with them, right? Like God's keeping them separate for a reason, because they got kicked out because they disobeyed the law, right? Of not loving oneself. But it's not up for us to judge either. So it's like if they get brought back into the fold, it's like, when do we know when or when not to, right? It's also that thing. It's like, well, we just have to keep aligning with ourselves. But again, it can be tricky because you don't want to step into, it's like you don't want to get in the way of universal law. Do you hear all these? It seems like it's becoming layered or complicated. And that's where I'm like, what's happening here? So it's like, it was also, thank you. Well, how do I verbalize that? It's also like this bred into the family line, but then everybody around them, like everything becomes normalized, right? So it also becomes normalized for all the other, I guess, like families or generations around them, that family lives in lack, and they just have been used to shunning them or using them as a footstool. But nobody knew why. It wasn't like it was ever, like it was, none of this was ever like I guess, passed down or explained or whatever the case may be. And so it ends up not mattering at some point, and it all just becomes normal at some point. And again, like they're doing it again now. And so what they're showing me now, what they were doing is like they flicker between the two. It's like not much has changed is what they're showing, where it's like even in this day and age, there's still people who dismiss other people or use them as their footstool. And it's like such a gap variance. And again, it's like I can see it from so many angles, and people can justify out the wazoo all these things. Like they earned it or they whatever, and the other people, they're not earning it. They're just taking up space. And I mean, people say nasty things when they don't even know the people, right? Like they just don't even know them, but they like will make a presumption based on their situation. But again, that too, I think, was bred into us, right? Based on what I'm saying. If it was taught way back then, oh, they broke the contract, right? They dishonored themselves. They made those choices. But were they lured away by the devil, right? The snake? Like there's so much nonsense we do and tell ourselves and pass down and don't pass down and then repeat like all this stuff, all of it. You got to bust through it all to get back to you and your direct connection. But all that said, there are people that, so again, they keep showing this extreme poverty, but at the same time they show the extreme poverty, I recognize I'm judging it that way because they're showing me kids that are very, very happy. So I keep thinking, am I judging the state they're in as lack and poverty because I don't choose that? And so I'm projecting, I assume you don't either, let me go help you. But this is what we end up doing sometimes and doing more harm than good, right? This is the ego, us humans, like our humanness interfering. And so I guess it goes back to, it's like they have to want the help and ask for the help. But ask who, when, where. In other words, some are in positions where, I don't know, I feel like this is something that my ego must grapple with because now they're showing me a documentary they had taken me to a while ago, but it was in deep poverty. It's in conditions that none of us, or I was going to say us, but I don't know none of the people I know would be in. Like we wouldn't last. And yet the gentleman interviewing the people who had lived there, and he ended up staying with them and following them for some time, he even asked them, after spending time with them, after eating with them, after all these things, and they ate out of the garbage and they ate out of, but these were not homeless people, although what they lived in didn't seem, it was not sanitary and modern. It wasn't any of that. It was shacks and they were all together, and it was what we would call extreme poverty. And but they were happy, and they had a job, and they had a purpose, and they had a family, and they were happy. And the interviewer did ask them, if I could take you away from all of this and change your life and basically upgrade you and offer you would you be willing to accept that? Would you want that? And they all were like, no, why would we want that? What are you talking about? Because they had normalized it, but it wasn't normalized it in the way that I often refer to. What I often refer to is I'll normalize things that I don't like, that I don't want, right? Like that I do know better and I've experienced better, and I'm accepting and tolerating treatment, behavior, situations that are not honoring me. I do know better. And it's like, they're not saying that at all. That's not their scenario. They're not normalizing something they dislike. They're not in that same predicament. They're very happy, living a very full and joyful life according to their desire for joy and fullness. And so it's like we make these presumptions, but it's also based on our knowledge, right? Like also knowing that it's not healthy or sanitary or all these things. But again, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like, I think there's something here. It has to be my ego I'm grappling with, because it's everybody they keep showing me in these scenarios. It's like I am. What they're showing me, I would presume they would want different, or what we would deem as better. At the same time I'm saying that, because I'm looking at all the conditions around them, they then continue to focus in on their faces and what they're saying. And their faces are joyful and happy, and they're saying they're happy. So we have to trust and believe that they are capable. Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, they're totally capable and happy and competent. Why would I think they weren't? Why would I think, what am I, their savior? What am I, their God? That's like part of this. It's like, who the fuck do I think I am? What's to say they're not, right? Like we have to be very careful with all that. Yet at the same breath, that's all they're showing me. And so again, is this my ego? Because I was about to say at the same breath, I'm sure there's situations where it is severe poverty where they're not interested in that. They do want help. They do want a hand. They do want, but they're not showing me any of that. Again, is that my ego then conjuring up an image of what I believe to be true, or what I want to be true because I want to quote help? Because again, it's quote help. Who do I think I'm helping? Who do I think? Do you hear this? Do you hear this? There's something right here that does. It has to be my ego. I keep coming back to that because I keep thinking. My ego keeps thinking they can't possibly be happy in those conditions. But why? Because I know that I wouldn't survive in those conditions. I look at it and see the disease and it's unsanitary and it's unhealthy, and the gut flora would be all these things are bothering me because of my conditions that I have normalized, or what I'm used to or accustomed to, or what I expect. And so, yeah, I got to get over that. That is my, I think we are trained that way, and our emotions are pulled on that way, right? That is a way for people to steer us, right? Like how many, probably, I was going to say thousands of dollars yourself, or tens of thousands of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, but some people millions and millions of dollars they have given to a sales pitch, right? A sales pitch of it's going to help this or that you have an emotional tug on. And so they get your money, but then you hear of all the stories where, that money never reached any of those people. No. No, that was just to get your money. And then that said, there are people who I do believe want help and need help and ask for help. And there are good organizations and people who make sure that all that money goes in those directions. So it's like you don't want to not assist either. It is such a fine line, and I think they're trying to get me to see the fine line, to know the fine line, to understand the fine line. If I guess don't help blindly. Don't assume people want help because it's not the conditions, places, spaces, or time that you would choose. Maybe it's like also do your due diligence or your research. In other words, don't hand over money blindly because your emotions are getting tugged on. It seems like all such basic and simple rules, right? Like when we hear the rules, we're like, yeah, of course, duh. But that's the same rule as do unto others as you want done unto yourself. We think, oh yeah, duh. But how often do you not honor yourself because you're people pleasing, or you're worried about somebody else, or you're putting somebody ahead of you, or you're doing all these things, or And it's like, oh no, you're getting smacked for that. What happened to duh? You knew so much. We're just making silly mistakes all the time because it's our ego running the show, not our heart. So I think they're trying to show me this here too, where it's still the ego if it's like judging or comparing or deeming or presuming. Do you hear all that? So it's like we have to be careful with all of that. And in ways and in spaces and places and time where I guess maybe that's part of it too, that I would assume I wouldn't have to. Right? It's like, I guess it goes back to the, are you being kind or are you people pleasing? And even if you do it, because I mean, I think the majority of people do things without announcing it. I think we see a lot of people announcing it and we then presume everybody's doing that. No, people volunteer and donate constantly and you never know that about them. And they're giving money to organizations and different things that they believe in, whether it's true or not, and whether they've done their due diligence or whether whatever is up to them based on what they're showing me here too. But now they seem to be making quite a point about all this. Is this still the same one? I don't even know if I'm still on the same recording as the one where they were originally showing me. Like not even knowing that they're free and that they can choose better, but they're not choosing better because they don't know any better or any different, but they're also happy at where they're at. So it is that fine line and dance. In other words, if you heard the other story, it was also the idea of like, she knew she wanted better, but she couldn't understand or see why or what was driving that, pulling that, encouraging that. And so I guess she has to ask then for help. I guess that's sometimes maybe that's the message too. There's more here. What is it? It's like, knowing, seeing, accepting, allowing. I'm not sure. I feel like we keep circling over here. Because we keep circling, don't interfere with universal law. Don't see anybody as not capable, because of course they're capable, of course they're worthy. And yet, then we go back to, it's like, but when you're in your blind spot and it doesn't feel good, but I guess that's a way to force you to get back to you and be honest and true with you. Yeah, it's all these things in one. But I still feel like there's either a straight line or there's something I'm missing. Although meanwhile I'm doing a circle. Because I keep wanting to say, who do I think I am? That's what I keep wanting to say. Because it's like, unconditional love has it all handled. Right? Like unconditional love's coming to all of us and coming to all of us and through all of us. So why would I think, like, they're totally capable, competent at making the choice they're making. And who am I to judge it, good or bad, right or wrong? They might know something I don't know at all. And I'm presuming they don't. They need my assistance in some way. Who the fuck do we think we are? And yet it's like that fine line. Don't turn your back on people, or don't, it's like if somebody is reaching out a hand for help, you want to assist. It's all of this. It's something they're trying to get me to see, and I clearly am not, because I am struggling with it. Because it's like as soon as I go to reach my hand out when they show that, right? Because it's like to assist those who are asking. It's also literally at the same split second they keep like slapping my hand, like, no, you need to use your discernment or something. Like, it's like, what are their intentions or motivations? Like, are they understanding that are they understanding it's not you that's assisting? I think that's a big thing, because if you've been listening, that has been a big thing for me, where it's like, I really want people to get that it's always unconditional love that is helping and healing all of us and coming to and through all of us based on our own work that we're doing to open up and heal our own wounds and be filled with unconditional love. And so it's no human is technically doing that work for you. They're doing that work for themselves, to heal themselves, to love themselves. And in doing so, in showing the universe that they love themselves, they're honoring themselves, they're choosing themselves, they're getting more filled with unconditional love. So then they are capable of doing more of the things that they love to do and are getting better at doing them. And sometimes that involves helping or healing others directly and indirectly. And yet our human eyes get confused by that and think, oh my God, that person's doing that. And every time, that is where we trip, because you can then hurt that person. They were showing me that image a lot this morning. What was it? Can you tell me that again? They kept showing somebody coming up to me and thanking me or praising me or doing something. And I was like, oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that to me. And please don't do that to you. And most importantly, please don't do that to God, to unconditional love, right? We're just disrespecting all of us when we do that, because it wasn't like a simple thank you, or it wasn't like that. It was like the way they were looking at me or the way they were thanking me. It was in such a way that it was like, please don't do that. Don't do that to me. Right? And don't do that to you, because in doing that to me, you're pumping up my ego. Don't disillusion or twist either one of us. And don't do it to you, because you're telling yourself that another human is above you. So don't do that. And ultimately, we're both then disrespecting unconditional love, the highest vibration of all. And it's like, I've worked too hard to let that get smashed because of my ego, right? It's like, so it's something around all of that. I wonder if they must all go together, because it is interesting. I guess it is saying all the same thing. Or maybe that's the whole message they're getting me to say. Well, why didn't you just show me that? Because I'm difficult. Yeah, I know. Okay, maybe that is all of this. Yeah, it's like, it's like, right, okay, thank you. Because whatever I was doing, I was just naturally doing stuff. I was just being me. And I don't know how, like, this person ended up, it was like praising me or idolizing me. Like, they were very like, it was more than doting. It was very much a like idolizing kind of scenario. And I was like, please don't do that to me. And I didn't even know what I had done. And I guess that's the whole point. It's like, when we are just ourselves, when we are authentically ourselves, it's a natural process that we're truly loving and honoring ourselves. So then we're truly getting filled more and more with unconditional love. And that seeps out, and directly or indirectly can really help and uplift others. And so, but it's like, but don't get that twisted. It's because you're loving yourself. It's like, the more you're getting that mirror back, unconditional love is filling you up more and more with that. Hopefully you can hear all this. I know this was a long-winded one. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.